Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the anxious attachment style if you are familiar with adult attachment theory. We've been focusing a lot on avoidant attachment on my channel, and I know that this is a super popular topic. I want to talk about whether or not an anxious attachment style can become secure, because this is a very popular question that seems to be coming up. And so because of that, there are a lot of people sharing how they healed their attachment style, how they healed themselves, and so on. Before we jump into the good stuff of this video, I really want to let you know that I admire you for realizing that there is value in growing as an individual, becoming more self-aware, becoming more wholesome yourself, instead of being in a victim mindset. Way too many people stay in that state, and therefore their life pays for it. Genuinely, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for watching this video. And if you do find it helpful, please don't forget to let me know to make more videos like this by hitting the thumbs up button, and consider subscribing to this channel. As far as healing your attachment style, I don't really think that this is possible. And let me tell you why. You literally grew up with this attachment style, and you learned to cope with struggles and uncomfortable situations through the attachment style that you have. Things that are put into us as children stay with us our entire life, and some adults spend their entire life trying to unlearn the things they learned in childhood. Before you give up hope, I do want to let you know that there's nothing wrong with this. And if you are noticing that your attachment style is not serving you or the purpose that you have for yourself, for your life, maybe it's not helping you in the relationship that you want to have moving forward, you can definitely learn to be securely attached. Just keep in mind that your first instinct reaction will be the one that you've had your entire life. But like every skill that you learn, the more that you practice it, the easier it becomes. And over time, you can probably start automatically applying things as if you had the secure attachment style. So don't be scared if your initial reaction isn't the one that you want to have moving forward. This is completely natural. You can do this. You can learn this skill. In the beginning, you might have to consciously focus on doing things differently. So if your goal is to change your attachment style from anxious to secure, I have a few tips for you. But before you start doing anything, you have to understand your triggers, like where you show up in a way that isn't useful to you or your relationship or the outcome that you want to have. Is there a certain point where you start to feel like you are spiraling and you're behaving in a way that you don't want to? Recognizing these points and the recipe that goes into creating that atmosphere for you is vital for you to be able to do anything about it. Because like I said, you are learning this new skill, and you're going to start drifting away from your initial reaction to do things in a way that you haven't done them before to benefit you. There is a beauty in being anxiously attached, but there are also things that go into that aren't very helpful for you. Just like with an avoidant partner. In some ways, it is actually very useful to cope with issues by avoiding them. And sometimes by avoiding the issue head on, they resolve themselves without your involvement. Same thing with being anxiously attached. There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes by being overly cautious and overthinking everything, you're able to mitigate the non-predictable situations that occur, because you already kind of have a plan B for everything. However, if your goal is to have more control of the circumstance that you're in and your own peace, then it is vital to learn new skills and develop them over time to know which one to implement in order to get the result you want, instead of feeling like a victim of your circumstance or someone that has no control of what happens next and being stuck in like an anxious panic mode about what's going to happen next. So make sure that you analyze your own triggers. You can do this by remembering things that you weren't really proud of in your behavior after the fact. Maybe in the moment you felt like you were reacting correctly, and then afterwards you kind of felt like, you know, honestly, I could have probably showed up as a more patient version of myself, or someone who was more calm, or whatever the situation is for you. Try to recall those scenarios. Now for the tips, think of somebody that you highly admire, like somebody in your life that you know personally, or a celebrity that you really like, a role model that you have, someone that you want to be like, but for some reason you lack some of their skills. You can use this person as a reference to what other ways there are of handling the situations that you're in. Ideally, this person needs to be someone that you think of very highly. And even if you don't know them personally, based on the movies that you've seen them in or interviews that you've watched, your brain is really smart and it can calculate how that person would react in a certain situation that might be different from you. And whenever you're in a situation where you feel like your attachment style is showing up in a way that isn't serving you, you can think back to that person and think, how would this person react? Especially if it's somebody of higher status than you are in some way, so they have more resources and skills that you probably want. Your brain can do some of the calculating for you and give you some options of how they would theoretically react. Another way that you could learn the skill is by focusing on the problem. Like, what do you fear that is causing you to panic or overreact or overthink? What's under that fear that you feel like you're going to lose out on or you can't control? Sometimes these things are really hard for us to admit ourselves, but if you're able to do this, this is part of the up-leveling and growing your skills you need to do in order to get where you want to go. Something that helped me, because I am anxiously attached myself and I'm working more towards being securely attached. I've come a long way, but there are always some triggers that put me back into that state and I have to like work myself out of it. Adopting the belief that everything happens in my favor and for me instead of to me and is out of my control really helped me view the positive things out of a situation. So if I was ever getting triggered by something that my partner was doing or my family was doing or a friend was doing, and I felt like I needed to oversee that thing or I needed to double check that this was done, I would take a step back and I would view the positive thing. Like, for example, if someone was helping me out, I would think, okay, they're doing this. I'm so grateful that they're doing this, because it gives me time to focus on something else. And sometimes it feels super uncomfortable to start thinking that way because your brain wants to take you back to the place where you were, and it will automatically start coming up with other reasons why you need to still be concerned, but you have to consciously decide to let them go because you are choosing to do things different. I used to get really hurt when my partner would go on a guy's trip or something like that, and I felt like I was abandoned and it would put me into a bad mood. So the way that I got myself out of it is I started thinking about, okay, well, honestly, this time is just for me and I'm so grateful for this time because I don't have to worry about focusing on our connection at this moment. I don't have to focus on anything but myself, and I can do whatever I want with that time. And I did. I started doing projects that I've been putting off for many years, to be honest with you, and I started using that time to push myself further for my goals in the future. And I think that if you want to work on becoming more securely attached, these changes are absolutely necessary. But again, if you don't know what's triggering your feelings, there's no way that you can start doing the work on your own. Another thing that really helps me is finding practices throughout my day that help me ground myself, that help me feel like myself. And one of those things is working out. I know it's very mundane and maybe that's not your thing, but you literally have to find at least 20 minutes in a day to do something for you. Because the problem with anxious attachment style is that we're so focused on everybody around us and everything around us to be okay, for things to be good, that we kind of forget about ourselves and we neglect ourselves, which on a deeper level can translate to everybody else's needs are more important than mine, which feeds to a negative self-perception. The more that you do this, the more you can spiral downwards into feeling worthless. So don't do that to yourself. And to be honest with you, the one person that you have to truly live with your whole life is you. And if you treat yourself bad, that gives everybody else around you the right to do so as well. I really hope that you found this short video helpful. And if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments below. I honestly love reading them and I love having conversations with you guys in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.